Welcome back, everybody, to week number 5 of Stage 3 of the Quake Pro League. My name's Ketchup, and I'm joined by Lethal for tonight's broadcast. And we have a really big matchup coming up. It's going to be k1llsen versus Base, two real kind of mainstay powerhouses of the Pro League at this point, and they're just consistently excellent, right? k1llsen, last year's QuakeCon champ, which is obviously that has its own weight. He kicked off the Pro League by winning the biggest tournament, which was great for him, and it really kind of started his era of success. Base has just been consistently a top performer.
Yeah, Base has been looking very good. After he got that top three at stage two final, he's been looking very good. But then again, he has slipped off a little bit. Back and forth, he's been either dominating or heavily defeated. Like even against Cooler last week, another person, Cooler, had his number. You could see that he knew the routes Base takes and the paths he makes when he actually plays defensively. And Base could do anything about it. When have someone who's prepped for you that much, playing defensively and waiting for the first mistake to happen is very difficult and it's extremely hard to say the least. But we've got two players here with completely different styles. You've got k1llsen, a really, really high fragger, one of the highest fraggers in the EU scene. And you never see a map where he's not got like at least 10, 15 frags. The guy is just absolute madness. And Base, the complete opposite, extremely defensive, will make sure he won't make a move until you make the first mistake, but still will bully for that item control when necessary. So it's weird because normally you see a clash of styles, but this time it's a complete opposite. I'm just wanting to know, will Base be able to force k1llsen into his style where k1llsen has to walk quite a lot and then not be as aggressive? Or will k1llsen just go, I'm just getting to get the first or second frag and then just have my way with you afterwards?
You always feel like k1llsen is the kind of player that you can favor in these exchanges because he's just so wonderful at capitalizing on those kind of things. You almost never catch k1llsen having a bad day, so he's going to have like top tier aim. He's going to have top tier positioning. Everything he does, I've used this term in the past, where he's just like obnoxiously efficient at everything he does. You're so unlikely to catch him slipping, which means that to match k1llsen, you have to match his level of perfection in Quake Champions, and that's like very much easier said than done. Should have the picks and bans so we can find out what the adventure is going to be for the next 3 maps. Veil of Nath is going to be the first pick with the Doomslayer versus the BJ. Molten Fools with Ison and Anarchy. And then if it comes to it, Awoken being our third map, where we're going to have Visor versus the Strog and Pika. So there's a lot of really traditional picks in the 3 maps that we're going to have. And overall, this is very much going to come down to just player decision, right? The one thing is, maybe you won't see a Doomslayer get picked on Veil of Nath that frequently. It's not as likely, like the big bodies that you can see and stuff like that. But we've seen k1llsen make magic happen with the Doom in the past, so I think he'll be just fine.
You got to remember the last time these two played against each other, it was 2-1 in favor of Base. But even then, the one map k1llsen won, it was 13-0 to him on Blood Covenant, which is a huge margin. And look, Blood Covenant's banned. But to say the least, I thought Blood Covenant would be banned sooner, but maybe a little bit of mental games with the bans. But yeah, a lot of these maps, I think Vale will, I suppose Base actually chose that because I didn't really think it would be in his favor. I thought it would be more in k1llsen's favor. Molten Falls, it feels like, I feel like it's back and forth with the maps. I feel like Base should have chose Molten Falls and vice versa for k1llsen with Vale as the first map. But instead, it's like we're living in a parallel universe probably at this point in time. And you saw the Base decided to go with Woken at the end. And again, but the champion picks, I've seen an Eisen for Molten Falls. That's quite a rare one.
But I mean, on Awoken too, that's a map that is kind of like underratedly strong for Base. He's been able to really kind of bring that A game on Awoken in the past to some players that I heavily favored to win that map. I recall he's been able to take out players like Vedger, on Awoken in the past. And so it's like, whenever you think of like strong maps and Base, Blood Run's kind of like your first pick. But there are other maps that Base is equally as strong as time is starting to progress. He's just getting a lot more comfortable on them. But prediction wise, I find this kind of hard to call. But if I were to put you on the spot, Lethal, and ask you for a prediction between these two, who would your money be on?
Don't put me on the spot. But yeah, I guess I have to. If I saw Blood Run and Blood Covenant played out, it would be a lot easier for me to say. But I'm going to say 2-1 k1llsen. I reckon, even though it isn't Base's map pick for Molten Falls, I think he may do slightly better on it. But this is k1llsen we're talking about. It's very worrying to see how he'll play. It just depends on if Base can force his style into k1llsen's play or not. If he doesn't, he's in big trouble. If he does, then he could be in with a chance.
Well, it looks like we should be loading up soon, so we're moments away from actually finding out what's going on. But yeah, I got to say, exciting to watch these two players match up again. It's always the exciting part of the end of a broadcast where we start to get like the really heavy hitting matches. And k1llsen, he really started Pro League off with a bang. Not only was he almost completely undefeated at last year's QuakeCon, going into the Pro League, where he ended up winning that QuakeCon, of course, beating k1llsen in the championship match, the final match of the day. He had a lot of momentum riding, and he was able to ride that almost all the way through. He hasn't quite had that same peak level of success recently, but I think that's a lot more of a testament to just how diverse the talent pool of Quake Pro League actually is. I really don't think there is one established, just a clear cut above the rest player. I know Rafa is currently the player that kind of has that mantle, but the exciting thing is any player could win any kind of major tournament, and that really does excite me. k1llsen totally could be up on that list because history has proven that.
Fight.
Absolutely. As we head into the first map, you're right though, k1llsen is classed as one of the heavy hitters in the EU scene, but as I said, the first engagement is underway. But for once, k1llsen is the one who backs off, which is slightly unorthodox to say the least, but at least Base managed to get the rockets, get a slightly heavier stack. And now we are just playing the waiting game. He knows he's there because the door is still open, but at the same time, he's just going to nail through to see if he can stop Base. But look at the discipline from k1llsen. He knows he's there. He's finally managed to get the rockets. And both players will back away for the time being.
That rocket launcher's currency was all of his nail gun ammo right there. A fair exchange. But now the question is, what does it really amounted to? Because Base has a good stack still. And k1llsen, kind of uncomfortable. He has to be really careful how he pushes for this heavy. And I like that decision. Take any damage you can off heavy, but don't fight for it. And then just take mega. You know, if we can get a decent damage rocket, best case scenario is the stack becomes quite even, which it kind of is, really, if you look at them.
Yeah, it's good to see like the prioritization through these players' minds, what to go for, how and why. But when you see it happen, you realise why they've actually done it. As for the time being, Base playing it very slow. He knows he can't go up that lift because when he does, he'll be in big trouble. But will find the heavy for himself, and then k1llsen gets the mega. So basically, he's going to be waiting and then again. He's going to be taking the same path. But as I said, k1llsen gets a rail, but then Base gets a nice little rocket to say at least. But my word, Base was very tempted there to go for the push, but has decided to wait as he has the top control as he's trying to hear out for where k1llsen could be.
That was a very Base decision, though. You know,
Yeah.
if there's a situation where I can push or I can stay defensive and keep a position, or at least try and establish control, Base will go for the latter almost all the time. So control heavy, running the items rather than taking the fights. But with that said and done, k1llsen is the one that is sitting on a lot more stack, and those rockets add up. Can he get this rail? No, he can't, but neither can Base. So it's going to be somewhat of a trade so far. Both players looking towards the center, but heavy, a fair while away from spawning. k1llsen taking some damage, but he's able to return the favor! The rail as well. Perfect play. And we're going to see if he can get both. Yeah, looks like he gets a good spawn, so Base can't get the heavy either. And he's waiting. Yeah, just patience there from k1llsen. Just waits for the moment.
Turns that he wins the race, but my word, that was beautiful there from k1llsen. He's trying to go straight in, but Base is so weak. Surely this is the time for k1llsen to finish things off, and yes, he does. That was a great rail there to flank round with.
In a blink of an eye, 2 frags. Going into the favor of k1llsen now, who's trying to stay really safe. And I love these angles. I love those quick little angles, but no, the click heard around the world. No one likes running out of ammo. Does mean he's going to have to concede and allow Base to just back up. And again, the stack's pretty decent, but I think k1llsen has been able to get those more surprising angles a bit more regularly here. Base has been hit by a few more of those rails that he's just not fully aware for. k1llsen doubles back. Nice positioning. He's ready for the rail shot. The dual wield coming out, but I'm not sure it's going to save him. It does by barely anything. But he's not going to complain. He'll take that. Ooh, and fresh off the spawn should be another pickup. Berserk does come out, but it's not enough.
It's getting close, Ben. It's like he managed to get that heavy. But yeah, earlier on, I'm surprised he's got that frag up top. I thought it was surely k1llsen's. But now k1llsen, with the rail for the time being, is going to try and bait him out for the telly, which he does. But I think he's going to be too trapped now. It's not a place you want to be in, especially that lift. It's such a nuisance if you get caught off guard, or not even off guard, but get LG'd into. He has to get capitalized on there. So k1llsen does have top control, but base is in the lead with a very heavy stack.
Trying to catch him off guard is actually correct. Oh no! I'm not particularly sure it would have helped him all the same, but a little bit of self-damage coming out from k1llsen, shooting the wall as he's trying to save himself. Does spring a good trap on the time, but that's unfortunately going to be the end of him anyway. Now from this stage, base is able to establish himself. He's a massive stack, hasn't got a rail. I mean, that might matter, but the fact is, if he's got a dual wield lock mode, the LG is going to matter a huge amount. k1llsen is going to try and chase this one down. This will be a pretty honest fight coming out right now. One that base, I think, really is kind of rocking the advantage for so far. k1llsen misses the rail. That's the kind of rail that he couldn't have missed. He had to make sure it hits and tri-bolt. Hello. There's no way he was ready for that one.
Beautiful. He was railable after the first dry bolt, but he took the risk anyway, and the risk went definitely in his favour. They're going to try and stop in get the heavy, but he does not. As k1llsen has to back away from the time being. That was extremely close. It definitely could have gone either way. But the LG was just a little bit too strong and it's a little bit too late. As the stacks have become quite similar, as k1llsen's going to try and... So you can find out any info, but I said this earlier, base needs to try and force his play into k1llsen, into his style, and he has been forcing it. Look, k1llsen, how often do you see him playing this defensively, trying to get something going here?
I think it's a matter of being able to just lay the aggression on, and that's what I've loved about base so far, is that he's not kind of playing that traditional, purely defensive style. He's making sure not to give anything up, but he's always kind of sitting around just where k1llsen's about to collect something that matters, you know, something that really matters. In that case, it was the heavy. And k1llsen goes in to take it. Well, not before a bunch of damage is dished out to keep him behind. And this should be a green light to really push, at the very least, push enough to shut down the Mega. And now base in favor again. In and out. Yeah, there it is. Easy pickup. k1llsen's not going to contest. He only needs one frag. And there's plenty of time left to get it. There's no need to push too far first. Get the regular stack up. Hit those rails. And, you know, this is Railson. Come on. It's one of his names.
That is definitely right indeed. And even then, it's just weird to see k1llsen playing a lot more passive. And, you know, some people can force their style onto you, but let's be real, what can k1llsen do? You're right, he can lay out the aggression, but there's no point laying out any aggression if you don't have the opportunities to. And that was lovely by base, how he grabbed that heavy to get as much speed as possible in case k1llsen does try and go for it as well. But even then, base is still playing very careful considering the stack, but he's just trying to see if he can catch him off guard. But this is maybe another opportunity to try and at least back off. But look at this, he made the correct move. He predicted him to go and drop down for that light. And instead, he goes for the top control. He's going to try and get this Mega, and he gets the frag on top of things to make matters worse. But even though k1llsen does have a few minutes left, he may have three frags to try and come back on.
The thing about base's style of play is that he really is a world-famous defensive powerhouse. Is that even against the likes of k1llsen, who is, you know, one of the most well-rounded players in the business, this hyper-defensive style that base brings to the table, where it's not like not giving up frags, and it's not winning on one or two frags. It's just this idea that he is just impregnable. He's so hard to crack into. And now, springing the trap, good read, capitalizing on k1llsen's lack of patience. I mean, he has to do it. This is one of those situations where k1llsen's got to try and make something happen because he's running out of time. But Baze, wise to that. Oh, God. Oh, savage. Fastest bags in the West. Come on, Base.
Oh, my word. So Base is literally running away at this point. Gets the Mega, but it does get round because he'll have to go for 3 in a row, if he wants to try and at least make something happen, but he doesn't. But time is running out. Time isn't of the essence for him. Base will continue to run away, but we know how good his defensive style is. He's known for it. in this league, and it could be a real pain in the backside. But saying that though, Base still in a reasonable decent stack, so push comes to shove, he can fight out a decent battle, but even then, will k1llsen find him in time and get enough frags on board?
Time to go defensive. This is now Base being the Base we know. Yeah, he's been quite aggressive on this map. Not mindlessly, aggressive, but just enough to make sure that k1llsen is swaying all the way through. There really is no downtime for him. However, now, Base has taken his foot off the gas and he's fully dug his heels in. This is Base playing the style that we're more familiar with. This absolutely is going to be a first map for him. And I've just loved the discipline he has. And oh, the flick. The 180 flick with a super shotgun. Doomslayer normally does that to other people. Anti-cannon.
Yeah, it's the Base we know and love, so people may like it, people may don't, but at the end of the day, it is a slow, methodical approach which does work in your favor depending on which situations you take once you've got all the info which is necessary. But it's too little too late, as k1llsen will get the next frag. But Base, so 10-4, even if it is his map pick, I was quite surprised to see this kind of scorelines. And I mentioned it before the series. How can k1llsen approach this? He's tried the defensive way, but hopefully with the next map being Molten Falls, he can change things up a bit. But well played by Base. That was definitely dominant fashion. I didn't feel like he lost control in any way, shape, or form throughout most of that fight, and he always had a heavy stack.
Yeah, and it was a level of comfort more than anything else. That's really, every time we watch Base play, there is this like ungodly amount of discipline that he brings to the table, and that is, I think, one of the biggest things that stands out. Those opportunities where he can go crazy aggressive, but if he wants to, and it is the absolute right thing to do. But if he's in a situation where he's got a lead, or he's got stack, or there's a chance to get control, he'll normally go for that option. And k1llsen, again, it's kind of rare k1llsen gets kind of kept on the end of a leash like that. The kind of players that can make a player lose in a very kind of uncharacteristic way, that to me is kind of like the scariest thing that you can demonstrate in general, is that Base just somehow managed to make k1llsen look pretty simple to contain. And the fact that you're doing that to k1llsen is like, okay, you're serious. This is serious business. And Base, again, really showing why he's one of the most established players that we have in Quake Pro League right now. Veil of Nath, though, it's always going to be a different beast, and I'm interested to see if Molten Falls is going to follow suit the same way, because this kind of map it's kind of an even split, I would say. When you just look at the fact that if you want to play crazy defensive, you can, but it's very rail heavy. It's very range heavy in general, and that's kind of where k1llsen thrives. Now we're going on a map that is as rail heavy as it is. I'm interested to see if that extra element kind of really brings k1llsen more into his element, because if someone's trying to play a crazy defensive game and then you're just starting to hit every single rail, seen that all throughout the course of tonight, where that makes a huge difference. And k1llsen's like one of the sort of top 3 players you would expect to be that level of, okay, he needs to hit a shot, he's going to do it. So can Base run rings around him in the same way? Guess we'll find out.
It's just weird. I just find it weird how k1llsen was playing so passive, but he had no choice. There's too much cover unveiled. There's too much close quarters combat. There's too much covered. I've said that earlier already. But it's just strange, because to see Base be able to control someone's aggression like that is unheard of. But this is Molten Falls now. Even though this is the map pick of k1llsen, last time I saw him play, it was against Avec, and he played phenomenally. Like, the way he just clutch up kills in so much different fashion and close up the frags. Anyway, we'll have to see if he could do it again against Base. But what will Base do here to try and at least go 2-0 in the series? It's going to be another question here, but even then, the k1llsen of k1llsen, what's he going to do with him?
Well, we're about to find out, Lethal. As I'm going to be checking out. You know what? Let's check out. I'm going to check out Base first. Yeah, let's see how he's gonna tackle it. But the k1llsen versus Anarchy matchup is, we've actually seen something very similar to that earlier, where it was just this idea of distraction and information on a map as big as this, where you can really listen for as much sound cues as you can, but that turret just absolutely telling you when someone's nearby. Just like that, the rail lands, and Base is forced into a tricky position where he has to fight, and he can't. Did a decent amount of damage to k1llsen, but with that in mind, k1llsen's more than happy to restack back up. And I am going to be interested to see how the sort of relatively smaller stack of Anarchy fares against k1llsen if he's able to hit those shots.
We've seen a lot of k1llsen today, but on maps I would never have expected. Like, it's just strange, but at the same time, when I'm watching it, it's all been panning it out for them nicely. It's actually worked a treat, much better than what you normally see on one of the smaller geometrical maps. But look at this, k1llsen again with a lovely rail. He has to stack to boot, and he's going to see if he can try and push on forward. I love that though, with the turret, puts it on the lift to see if he can feed info. He has done, and he knows that base has gone away. But first of all, he's got to try and get some rockets to replenish his ammo. But I have no idea where he is. He knows where base is. It's just a matter of how he wants to try and push down. But he's got a nice chunk of damage. I think that was 71 pushing through. But he's left the heavy just so that he can delay the clock just a little bit more, just to throw base off further. But so far, so good for k1llsen.
And it looks like that delay is going to be wonderful. Was able to establish it soon, because keeping that control on item splits like that, that's like a flat 15-second delay in between. Should k1llsen be able to really play his cards right here, he can, well, run that circuit. And that does become very difficult. We've seen on Molten how often it can be tricky for people if they just don't really have a footing. And they're just constantly being harassed, and that is some immediate use. And watch out for the turret. The distraction. This is tricky for base. Nowhere to escape, and that's the benefit of k1llsen, man. Throwing down those hidden turrets, and before you've realized there's one there, k1llsen's going to ambush you at the same time. And I like this play from k1llsen. He's just laying that pressure on, and he's keeping his presence nearby. You know, he wants to make sure that every time base is around the map, k1llsen's within kind of reaching distance.
Yeah, some people use the turret to tank damage mid-fight and maybe get a little bit of damage off if you can. Some people do use it for placements, but throughout this map, and when we saw one of the matches earlier with Ruins, it's all been about placement and damage, and it's worked out well on both of these maps, and k1llsen's proved it as to why. But so far, so good. And that turret is still there to find out if he is near the Mega. Now, the LG fight will come in, but was almost getting a slight better bit, but base just manages to stay alive. Has plenty of stack anyway, managed to get the Mega, took the light armor and the health orb just to help himself further. But the heavy is coming up soon, so base is already going to try and contest it. But can he contest it enough to actually try and grab it? k1llsen's just trying to stay alive as much as he can. Surely this isn't going to go in his favour. No, it won't. 28 HP, and he will back off for the time being.
But this is Anarchy we're talking about. He can chase. And that lovely little flick of the wrist. It's now going to be a 2-2. I love watching the chase potential of Anarchy. And base, he's pretty common to use this champion as of recently. It's the kind of map where you can just fly around willy-nilly, really. And now he's going to press. Good chance to go in. And this time that turret doesn't accomplish much at all. Now that delay in between the two items, it's managed to keep its way all the way through. And it's just benefiting a different player now, but k1llsen's going to go for a weapon swap, getting overwhelmed again. And just like that, it's starting to run away from him a little bit. 2-4, k1llsen on the back foot again.
My word, and base still has the stack. And he's just going to be waiting around for the time being. So
He'll be comfortable now.
More than comfortable at this point. He can play as passive as he likes, but he needs to make sure to keep contesting those items. And he's trying to work out now, but he isn't actually using those turrets to tank damage. He's always using it for placement. But k1llsen does get the first rocket down, but will it actually be enough? No, it won't, as base gets another flag on the board. Base looking very good at this point, but even though k1llsen's got the LG, he needs to try and get away if he can, but he may have to take the fight here. He has no choice. He wants to really try and burn the heavy, but will he? No, he won't. There's only a second left remaining in the heavy. Base is looking very good here, as he will take the light first before he gets to heavy, just to add his stack a little bit further.
And now base in that position where he's keeping a nice level of control, but the... Oh, hang on. There's that initial rocket. He's going to go in for the kill. Looks like he should be able to get it in k1llsen. Just the movement of base, he just sticks to you. And hitting those rockets, even for k1llsen, who has some almost unrivaled combat skill. Absolutely, like top tier combat skill. Base is making him miss every shot. And that is entirely down to his just irritating style of movement at a close range. And he's mastering it.
k1llsen is doing his absolute best to force his style, but it's just not working at this point. Base is actually playing a little bit more aggressive than he normally does, which is probably why it's thrown off k1llsen more than he expected, but that's how it will go down at least. And Base, what's he going to do here? He's really trying to push him out. He knows that that heavy's coming up very soon. But Base now does have an inject, knows exactly where k1llsen is, has the time for the heavy as well. Got a while yet to wait for his move. He's just listening out for k1llsen rotating rounds. Wait for k1llsen rotating round. And that's exactly what you need to do. And as Anarchy, it just makes things so much worse for you, especially for k1llsen, because mobility and the speed is not there. So you have to try and catch him off guard. But as I said, the inject comes in, but will basically take him down at that point. Just barely. As k1llsen managed to walk away with that with 31 HP.
Yeah, just the fact that he was able to pick that one up in itself is impressive. You do get a little bit nervous, though, because there's 3 minutes left and 4 frags for k1llsen. This isn't really the kind of map where you can just machine gun those frags down. It's large, there's lots of room to disengage. And naturally, the movement style. Base is... Anarchy is so good at being able to just run away from you if it needs to be that way. Puts a lot of demand on your range damage, like the rail in particular. And just like that, it's been 25 seconds, 30 seconds just about, and nothing's really happened. And with Base having a lead this big, that's 30 seconds. I mean, that's an expensive 30 seconds to lose.
Yeah, you can see with Base, he used to sit around the mid-level most of that time throughout the course of this map, because that's the one point on the map where you can hear most of the audio cues. As I'm saying, the inject comes in, but no, you will not be getting away from that one. As k1llsen does manage to get another frag on the board, but it needs to start putting in more pressure. He's only 3 frags down, but he's going to go straight in anyway. I don't think Base even expected that. And my word, Base is to be careful now. k1llsen is on a rampage for these last few frags.
Yeah, I think I blinked and missed it. 2 frags have already gone down. That has just immediately cut the effort k1llsen has to do. And now Base has to show a lot more respect. Got to be careful here, though. Got himself a rail, and that's going to be one of those options that can kind of keep k1llsen at arm's reach. But maybe not enough. If k1llsen's sitting on a massive stack, we just saw the rocket jump come through. Fortunately, Base ready for that rocket jump. He's going to have to concede the heavy. Still a delay in between the Mega and Heavy at least, but this is that situation now for Base. A very crucial minute and a half. He has to... Yeah, swing out for it. Can't hear anything now. Pretty safe to assume that you're safe at the moment, but waiting for his chance. There it is. Hits the rail. Disciplined and patient, and it forces k1llsen away. Already gone down. Some LG is looking good too. Base just needs to double back. Turret's not going to be as lethal as the k1llsen. And this has been great defensive. I love his positioning. He has so many escape routes if he wants to, and leaving it to only 2 ways he can be chased. This is where the movement's going to matter.
He's doing it every single time, but the chip damage from the rails more and more has to delay k1llsen further. k1llsen must be getting frustrated, but this could be his chance to get the 6th frag on the board. Gets around, needs to get this one. He just barely misses it. The movement of Base, but now k1llsen has to chase him down. He's known exactly where he is. He knows exactly where he's gone, but he needs to hit these rails. He's got the first one. Will he get the second one? He's just barely managing to get away. Surely not. My word, Base is still trying to get away, and yes, k1llsen, he gets that 6th frag, but there's still one more that needs to be done. He is going literally full speed, full momentum to try and chase him down, but I don't think it's going to happen. He's got only 6 seconds left. Base is playing it passive, but he has found him. Surely he's not going to take him down. No, he won't. My word, that was extremely close, and k1llsen was so close to even getting it back, but Base just barely managing to take that 7-6. That could have gone either way. Maybe another 10 or 15 more seconds, he could have chased him down, but that could be another story.
That was too close for comfort, but that is going to be another map victory for Base, which has resulted in a good day for him, you could definitely say. And now we're going into our final map, but yeah, I mean, Base in general, he's been able to just have a really nice patient hold over k1llsen today. And it's something that I think he can definitely feel good about. Just with how Veil went, it was very convincing, really, for Base to just establish just his game plan on that map. Molten was obviously a lot more of a nail biter in that regard, but fundamentally, it's great seeing Base be able to play his style with multiple different styles of champions. Like, I'm growing to really enjoy watching Base and his Anarchy because it's a really bizarre hyper defensive style with a rapid fire champion. It's just not something that you see quite often. And it's almost like a different piece of flair. Final map now is going to be Awoken. There is going to be a somewhat against the grain pick here where k1llsen is going to go with the visor. You do not see this champion that often on Awoken at all. So I'm very curious to see what he brings to the table. And then Base going in with a Strog. I mean, if there's a 3-0 here, that's a pretty big upset for me. I just wouldn't expect it.
I actually know why. It's because Base plays quite passive, but it's not always top mid. So I think k1llsen's gone, I'm going to bring the visor out anyway, because I know exactly what you're like, Base. I know what you're up to. I know what your shenanigans are, sorry. But yeah, because you've got the Strog, which is not too bad to say for this. But even then, you've got to remember that that last game, the last map, that could have gone either way again. But Awoken's a lot smaller. k1llsen should be able to capitalize on this one way or another. But you're right, though. It's nice to see different styles of Base from what we've seen previously. He's been very hot and cold this stage. But if he 3-0's k1llsen, that's not just an impact, that's a statement.
Oh, yeah. All about growth at the end of the day. Even players at the top of the pyramid can ascend beyond, and the Base is kind of proving that at the moment. But yeah, I do think you're right. I think that this visor pick could absolutely be a Base specific pick. If he's not shy of going for those unorthodox locations and, well, hiding spots, if anything. He just locks himself into those kind of irritating to find positions, and it works, right? That's it. It simply works. And if he's prepared to stay as patient as he normally is, and I always use that word discipline. Base is one of the more disciplined players that the Pro League actually has to offer. And I mean, come on, it's been enough to get the 2-0. So we'll see if it's actually going to be enough to secure a 3-0. That would be ridiculous.
It's weird because there's some positions Base will wait passively in and it's unorthodox or it's, not very common. But he was standing in the two most common spots on Molten Falls just then, on the corner of LG Stairs and then on the mid floor where you can hear all the audio cues. He stood in those two spots quite a lot, and I was quite surprised because I was thinking to myself, surely at some stage, k1llsen's going to know that you're in one of those two spots because that's like one of those common spots on the map to be
I think maybe
which is weird.
Maybe he was just more confident that because he's got Anarchy, like his movement was kind of getting him out of those funky positions quite often. So even if he's in one of the more obvious locations on a map, if he's got great movement and he's one of the faster champions, even if I'm there, I'm out. I'm going to get a ray on you and I'm already gone. But final map situation is going to be Awoken. k1llsen with the visor. Can he seek out Base, or is Base going to get that fat 3-0?
3-0 could be incoming, but my word, the tri-bolt from k1llsen there looked fantastic to start things off. And Base isn't in the best of spots as k1llsen's trying to get all over him to start things off.
But almost immediately there's been this kind of lightning fast disengage from k1llsen at the same time. Right? Okay, there's been a little bit of a back and forth, but now here we are setting up shop. A tasty little tri-bolt, actually. Piercing sight's been activated. Nice little bit of a consolation prize, extra vision, plus the fact that it's a completely uncontested heavy. And there's that first rail. Thing is, the stack's high. Base did manage to get his hands on a mega. I am interested to see who's going to do the first push here. It would be unlike Base to do it. k1llsen really needs to make something happen, but only when the time is right. The ambush has sprung. Base gets a little bit of damage, but doesn't seem like it's really going to be enough. Gets an element of surprise, but if the stack just isn't the same, that element of surprise is only going to mean so much.
So k1llsen now managed to get that heavy, knows exactly where he is. Will use piercing sight to find the exact location, but knows that he's hanging around that top mid area for the time being, but has decided to move to change track. But k1llsen, again, he's been forced to play slow, but managed to catch Base off guard. Didn't expect that one. Kind of like a taste of your own medicine as he finishes him off with the LG. That was nicely done. And we all know what k1llsen's like. He's very aggressive. It's quite rare he listens out, not just himself for the position, but for the audio cues for his opponent. But that was very cleverly done. And what a way to finish off that third frag.
It was absolutely beautiful stuff. And it's stuff that didn't really cost him too much. He's back. He's got his regular old stack. There was a light armor ready to take in the first place. Piercing sight shot. And two of them. Base Looked a little bit like he was forced onto the jump pad there against his will. And the spawn rail, clean and crisp. This is the kind of k1llsen rail that you always expect from him, that hasn't really been all the way there in the series today.
Definitely not wrong, though. This third map it's like he's turned on with the switch for button, and my word, that's the 5th frag already. And it's only been 2.5 minutes, 30 seconds of frag, but as I say that, the match is completely out the window because now it's going to be a 6th one in 2.5 minutes. He's just having his way with him, Ryan. It's this back and forth. You'd think so between these two. It'll be not as much as you would like, but k1llsen is proving why he enjoys his high fragging games and he's giving base no room to breathe. If he gives him any room to breathe, he knows there's a possibility that he's done for. But will he better take him out? Yes, he will. Another great rail there from k1llsen, just making matters worse for the man.
I'm just loving the way he's taking these fights right now. He's smothering base fresh off the spawn, so this hyper defensive game just doesn't work. He is going to push on. The Mega's about to spawn, but k1llsen gets away with 3 HP left. And a nice little reward thanks to the Mega being picked up. And a light for good measure. A rail fresh off the spawn, a second one, making it 9-0. And I feel like k1llsen, this is the kind of map where you just kind of wish that he had more of these today. But base, he's just not able to play that hyper-defensive game. He's getting constantly caught out. And, well, this is one way to answer back. Even if this is that sort of third and final map, I think k1llsen, this is just, hang on a minute, get out of here.
This is disgusting.
Don't you know who I am?
No, exactly. I have no words for it. It's literally, he's got 1 kill every 21, 22 seconds, and it's just absolute madness. base is, don't get me wrong, bless him. He's trying to get something going here, but he can't for the life of him at this point, and I love this. k1llsen, even though he's got 11-0 lead, he's delaying the heavy to see if he can catch him off guard. Takes it anyway. Stack's still larger than life at this point. But base is going to see what he could do here, see if he gets one with the LG. But will he actually manage to get his first frag? Yes, he does, finally. Took him a while, maybe a little bit too late, but we'll see what base can do here as he gets his first one on the board.
Certainly the kind of map start that you don't want to have, giving up a massive lead and then you spend the rest of the 6 minutes or 5.5 minutes just trying to play catch-up before you even have a hope of making a comeback. It's a kind of tricky position where you need to get a bunch of frags in a row just to even things up. That was a good peeker, but he's taken a lot of damage, and the heavy's already been taken, so a refrag from k1llsen should, in theory, be pretty likely, especially after a rail like that. Looking for a second one, misses the flick, and oh no! That's the kind of frag that you kind of shake your head at. You know he had to land it. He just didn't get the rail at the end.
It's a huge surprise there. I thought surely one of them, but base has got a rail of his own. I'm getting the Avic versus k1llsen. Got a feeling here.
I mean, if base makes a comeback on this, that's just gonna make k1llsen feel sad. That's just gonna be a sad comeback.
I'll be sad for him.
I think we all will, to be honest.
But base,
great LG. Wonderful.
For the time being, 63 HP, but my goodness, Ryan. At least that way, base trying to do what he can to try and catch up, but he's lacking in the old stack department, and time is not in his favour.
Definitely not. He's going to eat some element of a rocket. Not enough to write home about, really. Looking for a rail. Looking for a second just before the teleporter. And he had him off. A tricky play to make because base has a cute little rail just to actually go for the fake jump pad, but it's certainly not enough to fight for the Mega. Not with the stack that he's working. That base could have hit 2 rails and it'd still be easy to dismantle. Going around the corner. Unfortunately, I'm stuck in a tricky position, and a combo kill guaranteed. Little 2-piece there thanks to the rail to finish the job. And he's looking for a bit more. There's some damage. He's going to get some armor at the same time. He's in a good position to sit there for the Mega, but he knows that unlikely base is going to be able to fight for it. If we can get the Mega first, well, I'll just keep him behind. Going to re-establish towards Mega, and he's going to be able to snap it up. And base, he's too weak. He can't fight with this heavy at all. And he knows it's a suicide mission, so he's not going to try.
Yeah, I don't blame that. At this point, k1llsen's looking very healthy in the stack department. It might be too little too late, but base needs to get some chip damage done with those defensive rails. He did a good job earlier, but he needs to really show it. Oh, but the tripod from k1llsen. Just playing with his food at this point, but will he get that? No, he will not, but may have to back off for the time being. That Pika's did a huge amount of damage, but he decided to take the risk to go forward, but it does not help him in his favour. Base must take that frag. Base should not have won that in the slightest, but the Pika
I mean,
did a huge amount of damage.
Yeah, and k1llsen definitely kind of overshot that rocket jump. The rocket jump to go in and try and take the Mega while the Pika is out. The attempt was definitely there. He just went a little bit too high and a little bit too far. That said, he's going to spring the trap, and Base is going to drop again. By all means, this should be the third map going to k1llsen anyway. And just for a bit of good morale, if anything, at this stage, because Base has sort of convincingly had a hold on the series. It's always nice to get that final map that just flips it on its head. Looks like right now k1llsen really in the process of doing that himself. However, it's yeah. I mean, you know k1llsen at this point. You know he's like a Venger, like I said about Venger. He's not satisfied with anything. He's not first place. He knows he has the champion in him because he has been a champion, right? He won QuakeCon last year, but you can't win them all. And Base is a super top level player, and he's really just had a hold on things throughout the course of this series.
He's been a real heavy hitter. There's not really much he can do here, but even though Base might... Sorry, k1llsen will win the battle. He's definitely not won the war at this point, but k1llsen just really showing us some flashy plays. Just another person trying to get the top plays, probably. Yeah, it's going inside. But Tommy control. Base is really still sweating, though. He is actually trying to get something going, but it's... I don't think there's any chance now at this point. 10 frag difference. k1llsen, the way he's railing, it's like his rails come back from the grave compared to the first two maps.
Oh, Base!
Base!
That was right in the backside.
Disgusting, yeah. k1llsen's just playing with his food, and Base just decides to not at that point, not fall up, but decided to go off the map. Ridiculous.
Oh, you're just talking about highlight reel moments. At least we're getting a few of those on this map.
That's number
just
one for me.
Extending the lead even further. Ding.
1 minute warning.
My goodness. So 1 minute left. k1llsen still just chilling for the time being, but even then gets the Mega, still gets taken down by Base. But Base already knows by now that it's over with 50 seconds left remaining. No, I tried making that comeback, but it just wasn't to be, as k1llsen just went on an absolute rampage for those first 3.5, 4 minutes and just went on an absolute tear. But it's very difficult on maps like Fail and Molten Falls. But on this map, it is possible. It can be done. It's quite open, and you can kind of make a lot, you know, decision making can be a lot easier in the circumstances of your game sense and the instinct to react. So far, 17-7, and it looks like something too different as k1llsen tries to finish things off, and he does, with 15 seconds left.
That's going to be a done deal. Dominant final map for k1llsen, so it's going to be able to stop the bleeding just a small little bit. I know for both of these players being really high up on the global leaderboards, this isn't going to be majorly impactful just yet, but it's going to be a loss that k1llsen's not going to be happy with. He's going to get the final map, which is certainly better than nothing. No one wants to get 3-0 at this level of play, but I mean, it's just been a great display from Base today.
Yeah, it was a k1llsen show on the last map, but that one was just completely different compared to the other two. 1900 damage more for k1llsen. It was a bit strange when I saw the fact that Base chose Awoken over Bloodrun. I was like, okay. I thought Bloodrun would be more his kind of game, but Base probably got some flashbacks from when he played against k1llsen and got absolutely demolished. He would thought, nah, no, I don't really fancy that. He probably has to do a little bit more work on Bloodrun with what he wants to do in terms of like convert his style onto that map, because he did used to be quite good on it. But k1llsen, you know, he did his best, but at least he put on a show for us on the last map.
It's always nice to at least get a couple of highlight reel moments on a broadcast, right? Like, I know that's definitely 100% not what he's aiming for, and he probably doesn't care about that. But from a viewer's perspective, and especially for the k1llsen fans out there that, you know, you love watching him play. I know he streams regularly, so you get a lot of access to kind of like top level competition on tap. I mean, Base does as well. These are two fan favorite players that are pretty big personalities too. But Base just continuing his really high level climb here in the Quake Pro League, and it's an impressive showing. I like this element that Base is not just a defensive. He's not like a defensive player, one trick pony in that regard. He's always a very sort of slow and disciplined player, but he knows when to go in when it's necessary. He has got these bursts of aggression when he knows like it's the right thing to do. I know some players can sometimes kind of fall into that pit of sticking to a style, kind of for better or worse. And Base definitely doesn't really strike you as a player that does that. And I mean, to be able to take it to someone like k1llsen, you've got to have a pretty large amount of versatility in your game plan for it to work in the first place.
Yeah, you have to. Against someone like k1llsen, yeah, it's unheard of. Some people may like his style of play for base, some people may don't, but every play base makes is calculated. You get two types of players. You get one where they like to force mistakes, and base who'd rather wait for the mistakes to happen. And against someone like k1llsen, that's where he could come through. With the aggression, he's going to be waiting for lots of mistakes because of how fast and aggressive k1llsen is. And I think for his style, that was literally his cup of tea. Like if you saw maybe base against, I don't know, maybe a Dewey or Dramus, who would still struggle a little bit more, but at the same time, when you've got a clash of styles, it's you get a lot of low frag games and it could be very close, and that's where there could be some panic situations. But it definitely suited base well. k1llsen had to sadly play into his style in terms of like trying to sneak up on him and trying to at
Yeah.
least break the threshold and at least getting close to him. But it just wasn't to be. But yeah, it's just one of those things. But it's nice to see, base has been hot and cold, but this time it was very hot today.
Yeah, those first two maps, k1llsen was pretty much forced into playing base's game plan, which is not something that you see often. But that was our second to last series of the night finished. We've got one more left to go, and it's going to be Dahang versus nosfer. And while we cut to a quick break and set things up, we have an interview to cut to. So take it away.